Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to the PSD training for using Bluebeam. So I have a printed out copy of a course outline, so if you guys could just pass this around. It's just so you can know where I'm going to go next or kind of see the stuff that I'm going to cover. And I know it's kind of ironic that I'm teaching Bluebeam but giving out these handouts for like a course syllabus of what we're going to cover. But hopefully this is just like an investment so that you guys can save more paper in the future. Okay, so first things first, I guess if you don't really know what Bluebeam is, at its core it's basically just a PDF program. So you can view PDFs and then, but it does much more than that. You can mark up your documents in different ways. You can draw shapes, do callouts, review somebody's plans, and I guess provide them feedback through the program. This is the program we use to sign our plans with one of the tools in it. What you can also do is you can do estimates from the program. Bluebeam has a feature where you can calculate lengths and areas and volumes and all that kind of stuff. So first things first, we're going to set Bluebeam as the default program that we use on our computer. So if you see this icon on your PDF files, I think it's for Adobe Reader. So to set Bluebeam as your default program, you just go ahead and right click and do open with, choose another app. And then if it's not here in this list, it looks a little bit different on my computer. I'll have to go find the app on my PC. It's under C Program Files, Bluebeam Software, Bluebeam Review 2017, Review, and I think it's just Review. And then make sure you click Always Use this app to open PDF files so that every time you open a PDF, it'll be in Bluebeam. Oh, let me. It says Acrobat. Oh, there we go. Thank you. So I think you also have to do the same thing in ProjectWise. So you have to do it here as well. Open with. Okay, so that's actually for this computer, on my profile, I have Bluebeam set as the default program for PDFs in ProjectWise already. I just hadn't had it done in Explorer, so I'm okay there. So let's get started with figuring out how to navigate around the PDF. How to navigate around Bluebeam. So the format of the program is basically kind of similar to Office, where they have the ribbon format. So stuff that you're familiar with. They have all these different sections: edit, view, document, and then this is kind of familiar to you if you're use Microsoft Office. And then you'll also find, I guess, MicroStation users that some of these tools that you use are similar to the ones found in MicroStation. So that's the ribbon. And then when you browse the internet, you know that whether it's Internet Explorer or Chrome, you have tabs. So you can open different PDFs in tabs. What Bluebeam can also do is you can go online with the web tab. So you can kind of, if you don't want to go into Chrome or Internet Explorer, you can go on the internet and just do it in Bluebeam itself.
I have a question real quick here.
Yeah.
So when you have multiple monitors, and you try to bring one of those files over onto the other monitor,
Yeah.
but you lose the ribbon, is that the way it's intended?
I think so. So what Dean's saying is you can also pull one of these PDFs out, or the web tab, so you can basically click and drag it out until you see that. And then I don't have the second monitor here, but this is, if you were to drag it over to the second monitor, you don't see the ribbon. But I think it's intended so that you only have one set of the ribbon is only on the first monitor. But I guess a workaround, if you wanted to do that, is to open up another version or another instance of Bluebeam. So kind of open up the program again, and then we'll wait for this to load up, and then you can do your things in here. So here, I'll try to go to the web tab. So you can move this to your second monitor, and that way you'll have on both monitors the ribbon. And that's just by opening the Bluebeam program again. That's a good question. Okay. So as far as navigating, we have 3 panels. We have one on the left with a bunch of different sections in here. One on the right, which hasn't been opened yet. And then there's a whole bunch of sections in here. And then one on the bottom. So if you want to kind of resize these or collapse them, expand them, you can just click on them, or you can drag to get the size that you want. So let me go through what's on the left side. Left side, this very far left section is called File Access. You can access all your recent files. They have an Explorer section where you can just go into your hard drive. It looks just like Windows Explorer. I don't really use this that much. I don't feel like it's that convenient, but it's there if you want to. And then I guess if you also want to reopen your files from the last session, that's the section. I'm not going to go into this one. The next one is bookmarks. So you can set bookmarks for different places in your PDF document, and I find this really helpful for something like a set of standard plans. I don't think if anyone has this standard plans for public works construction PDF, I don't know if you guys have a version with a bunch of bookmarks for each individual standard plan, but I think a while back I kind of made the effort to put these together so you can just jump to each standard plan very easily. So you kind of just scroll through the bookmarks, and then you can kind of see individual standard plans. So that's really helpful. And I know it's not on all PDFs. I think if you go open up a Caltrans standard plan with the entire standard plan, I think they have bookmark set, but stuff like this one, the public works standard plans, they don't have any bookmarks. So it's kind of inconvenient to have to scroll through the entire document to find the standard plan you're looking for. So that'd be nice in the future if someone has the time and energy to create bookmarks for all these individual standards, then it could be really helpful for everybody. Thumbnails, that's the next one here. So basically you can kind of see all the pages in your document at a preview level. And what's kind of cool about this one is you can just manipulate as, I guess, as far as cutting pages, copying pages, moving pages around. You can right click and do this, but you can also drag them. So if I wanted to move a page to it, or multiple pages to different parts of the document, I can kind of click and then drag it. So if I move this way, I'm like moving this page forward to the front. You do that real easily. I do that. If you want to do multiple ones, you kind of hold Control to select multiple pages, and say if I want to email the pages to somebody, extract them, you can do that as well. I think let's collapse for now. So I think what construction has done, if you look at a set of your special provisions, they have, going back to bookmarks, they have the different sections of the special provisions. So that's pretty convenient for you to navigate through your special provisions. This next one is called the tool chest. So it's a way for you to access, and you can kind of customize the tools that you most commonly use. So I'll get into tools later, but here on the right I have a bunch of tools, but if you have a preference on maybe the type of like the properties of your pen, like if you really want red and a certain thickness, and then you start kind of marking it up, I think it'll show up in the recent tools. So if you wanted to add it to your tool chest, like your most commonly used, you can go to My Tools. Basically what you do is, I think, you right-click the tool that you most recently used and then go to Add Item to My Tools. So they'll end up here. And then if you don't really use one here that often, you can kind of remove them too. So, and it just picks up all the properties of the last time you used that tool. So let's say, for some reason before this class started, I kind of had a call out. So this is a call out, and I'll get to this later, but it's a call out markup tool with a certain text on it. So if this is something that you want as saved under My Tools, you can do that as well. So I can add this to My Tools, and then I can just click on it or just hit the number 6. So if I kind of went back to 1 or hit 6, I can jump into that tool right away and place it. Let's delete this one too. Okay, so that's the left side. On the right side is your properties. So whether it's the properties of the tool as I just demonstrated, you can set the color, opacity, line width, whatever. But if I was just in the document, this is just properties of the document that you can see. You can do searches. So we have either a text search of a word or phrase in the document, or, and I'll get into this later, this is a really cool tool, visual. So you can search for a picture of something in the document and see where that occurs in the rest of the document, or in other documents as well. So it'll be really helpful if you wanted to search for all types of, or all manholes, or all, say, water valves. Where are the other water valves on the plans for the rest of the project? I think you can do that with this tool, and I'll get into that later. You also have measurements. If you have a PDF of a plan and it has a plan view at a certain scale, you can store the scale in the page, and then when you make measurements, it figures out from your scale what those measurements are. So this is really useful in order to create estimates. And then you have this is the right pane, and then the bottom pane is markups. I'm going to skip over into a different PDF where I have something marked up. Here we go. So if you are marking up a set of plans, this is something that when Andrew was reviewing one of my plans, I can kind of skip to different types of markups and then kind of address each of them, and kind of navigate and manage the list of markups that he made for my plans. Okay. Other than that, we also have a navigation bar. So these are like the most common tools. Navigation bar is this one that has a pan selection tool where you can select different objects, zooming in, zooming out. So this is kind of like MicroStation, where you can kind of zoom in by clicking and dragging and kind of looking at a particular part of the document. You can also set, this one is to select the text. So you can kind of select certain text and then copy or cut, whatever works. I guess custom zooms. You can set a percentage or kind of pick one of these zoom. And then just navigating through the document, so you can go all to the first page, navigate through your pages this way as well. And then this is kind of like in MicroStation about previous view, next view. So if I zoom out of a document, if I want to go back to my previous view, I can do that. And I'll go back to the last time I made a change to the view.
So if you want to go to different sheets, without using that icon, left and right there, do you use, I think I've used like either Control.
Yeah, so there's a shortcut I use. Let's do this.
Is it Control?
I think it's Control, yeah. So a keyboard shortcut to navigate through pages is Control. There we go. Control left, to get to an earlier page, Control right to go to the later pages. I think it's the same as up and down. Nope, it's just left and right. So Control left and then Control right to navigate without clicking.
So I have a question. When you first bring in the file, when you first open it up, I mean, is it just set it to an arbitrary scale, or what? Or how do you know what scale it's brought it in at?
Are you talking about
when you first open it up?
This stored scale?
Like when you import something where it's a PDF and you want to start checking because like the dimensions or something. How do you know what? Scale it is?
I'll get to this. Well, you mean
or do you
something
have to set that,
like this one has a scale on it?
Right, but how do you verify that? If you were trying to take measurements off of that it's the scale that you want.
Yeah, I'll get to that later.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Another cool, useful feature. Hold on, before I get there. Navigation bar. Okay, profile. So depending on, I guess, what kind of view you want to look at your Bluebeam at, you can set different profiles. So Bluebeam has in the program like a preset view. So let's say you don't like all these window or panes popping out, which could be a problem if you're on the tablet in the field using Bluebeam, that you just really want it simple. Then you want the most, I guess, real estate of your PDF as you can get. You can set different profiles. If you want to do a quantity takeoff, I think they have specific ones. Yeah, by default they have the measurements here if you're doing quantity takeoff. If you're doing a review, I guess you're marking up the plan, so they set this one as the default. So you can kind of mess around with these, see which ones you like, and then you can also save it. I happen to make my own that I like to have. Okay. Let's talk about splitting a window. This is really useful as well. Within a particular PDF, you have these two functions, split vertical, split horizontal, which also can be found under Window. Split vertical, split horizontal. And what that does is create different views. So kind of like in MicroStation, you can create view 1, view 2, view 3, but for the same document. You can also do that in Microsoft Office. You can look at different parts of your document at the same time. So if I split it and I pull this one out to the side, I can say look at a different sheet. So if I want to look at the construction legend, keep that on one monitor and then navigate through my plans and kind of look at them, but also having this on the side, that's really helpful. If you want to just have a detail and then look at the plan as well. Make sure that down here where it says sync, that this is not highlighted. If it is highlighted, that means the views will be the same on both views. So if I navigate and move around on one, it'll sync up with the other one. So that's sync. Oh, there we go. Okay, creating and editing PDFs. So I believe in all the Microsoft Office programs, there's a plugin. You should see something that says a Bluebeam tab here, and then you can just create your PDFs of your document, whether it's an Excel document, a Word document. You can create the PDFs directly from here. I guess I shouldn't have done that, but it might take a while. But that's a good way to just convert, an easy way to convert all your stuff, your documents to PDF. What you can also do is just go to File, Save As, and then save it as a PDF. Something that's really cool in Outlook was that you can save your individual emails. I did this tips and tricks a while back. Basically, you go into Outlook and export your emails, and then they'll be ready for you in a neat little package called a PDF package, and you have all your emails in PDF format. And then each of these individual emails will also be saved as, you can also save these individually as its own PDF. And what's also neat is the attachments also stay with it too. So, like under the attachments, you can kind of see what was attached and open those as well. So that's the tips and tricks in. Yeah.
I think there's a limitation though, like when you're doing the folder, like a whole folder conversion. I think there's a limitation on how
Like
much,
you can't do
like how much you can do. Like,
Okay. Yeah, I haven't really tried
I
it.
tried it with a big folder, didn't work.
Okay, so yeah, depending on what the size of your folder, it might take a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brian, those links in the PDF, the attachments, are those only viewable from Bluebeam? Or like?
Actually not. So you can actually open it with Reader as well. I think Reader's the only other one. I've tried it with, I think, eCopy. I don't think you can see it. So we can try it right now. Let's open with Reader. Oops. Nope, don't want to do that. So then, yeah, all these emails are in here with the attachment. So you can, even if you don't have to have Bluebeam to view them, but I guess you have to have Bluebeam to create them, to export your emails to a PDF file.
But it'll recognize that file type, the package.
Yeah, Reader. Looks like Reader will recognize it as a package, and then you'll be able to have individual PDFs for your separate emails. Yeah.
If your file is set to text only instead of HTML, does the attachment goes with it?
I don't think so. I think, and that's kind of a more complicated issue, just like the difference between a rich text email versus HTML email. If it's a rich text, then it won't save your attachment. So I guess you're kind of out of luck there. I don't know about text, if it's in a text format. Okay. And then another thing you can do is just converting images to PDF. Angie did another tips and tricks. I think it's this one, where you can just convert a whole folder of images into a single PDF, so that when you do view it in Bluebeam, you can kind of navigate them easier, and it's in one package, so you don't have to like hunt for the particular image that you took in the field. So that's something that you can do as well. Creating PDFs from scratch. Sometimes it's useful if you don't want to create something from Word and then have to export it to a PDF, because then you'll have two files. And you just probably better off creating one file so you can just create them from scratch. So all you have to do is go to New. You can also check for templates that Bluebeam has. So like let's say an RFI. Bluebeam has some preset templates, and you can kind of use the text box tool and then kind of type some stuff in, and then save this as a PDF rather than keeping a Word document but also a PDF document of the same document. It's useful just to have one, depending on your situation. Let's see. Working with pages, I kind of went with or covered that earlier. In here, where you can kind of manipulate, you can kind of move a page before a page or after a page, or rotating pages. You just kind of go into the thumbnails mode. I think that's most convenient, and then you can manipulate your pages from here. Okay, let's get into markup tools. So here, I guess I'm going to go through one by one on what you can do with markup tools. I'm going to close this one, open up this one, go into a marked PDF. Let's do this one. Okay, so text, you have text box where you can just highlight the area that you want, type some text in, and then make some changes to the properties, color, fill color, line width, style, all this stuff. You can do it from here. Callouts. So basically a text with an arrow attached to it. You could put the arrow first, and then where you want to put the call out, and do that.
You want to show them how to make it transparent in the box itself.
What do you mean?
Like a lot of times your text box will have border lines.
Okay. So right here, this particular text box is transparent. If you want to change not make it transparent, you could change the fill color to, like, say, white, and then change right now the box outline is red, but there isn't a width to it, so you gotta change the width. And then the color for the actual text is down here. Text color, say you want to make that blue, and it will be changed to blue. Is that what you're asking for?
Yeah.
Okay. And then if you don't want it completely transparent, or completely not untransparent, then you can kind of mess around with the fill opacity right here. So you can still see, let's say if you want to make the fill color yellow, you can still see the stuff in the background. As far as going back to callouts, you can kind of change where the arrow goes. If it wants to point to something, if you want to point to something else, you can also add additional arrowheads. Or leader, yeah. So right-click it and go add leader, and then you can point multiple things out. Typewriter I think is just like a simple version of text box. All you have to do is just click and then start typing something. So you don't have to define a boundary for your text. I think you can just start typing by clicking on a certain point, and you'll have the box automatically fitted to the text.
Hey Brian, question about the callouts. Is there any way to change the size of the arrows or anything like that?
I think so.
Okay.
Here, let's say 200. Yeah, and then change the style if you want it filled. Oh, I guess that's not filled. That is probably that. Fill color red. Oh, it changes the box too. I guess I haven't really experimented too much. I just kind of stuck with the default arrowhead when I make callouts. Okay. And then notes, I guess you can, if you don't want the markup like visible on the PDF itself, where you have a lot to write in your note, you can just put note, and it'll be kind of like a comment in Excel. You can write a detailed note, and then if you don't happen to select it, you don't have to. I guess you can probably hide this, but you'll know that there's something to look at in detail by this little icon. I guess if I click off of it, I can still see the note, but I think there should be a setting where you don't have to see this, and just see the icon to open up the note. I'm not sure how. Oh, I guess you just close it. There you go. Yeah. What's next? Haven't really experimented with flag, but let's move on to pen. So the pen tool is something you can use. I think mostly for our purposes, we used it to sign plans. So it's basically just like a free-form drawing tool. It's pretty straightforward. Highlighter, kind of like the pen, except that it's transparent, so you can highlight certain things. Let's make this real thick. And then, nope. Oh, highlight text. Okay, that's how it works. So I guess when it detects text, then you can use the highlighter tool. But I guess if it's not text, then it'll have the width of the tool, and then you can just do some highlighting here. Eraser, and then go back and erase certain parts of it. There's a bunch of different erasers here that you can mess with. Lines. Okay. drawing lines and and shapes. This particular line tool is just a simple line, straight line. Here's a shortcut. If you hold the Shift key, it'll snap to 0 degrees, 45 degrees, or 90 degrees if you want a line of that angle. It's the same with arrows. If you want a line at 0 degrees, then hold Shift as you do it. And then additional tools. So this is kind of like MicroStation. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. You can try to experiment to see what you like and how these feel. Let's go into rectangle. So again, with the Shift key, if you make a rectangle and hold the Shift key, it makes a perfect square. If you hold the Shift key and do an ellipse, it makes a perfect circle. That's pretty neat. You can also insert images. So if you are, let's say, reviewing somebody's plans and you want to include a picture of something that they want, you want them to see, insert image, insert the image into your document. Inserting a hyperlink. I believe you can, with hyperlink, you can. Let's try this. So I think what I ended up doing was, for hyperlink, I clicked on or dragged out an area of the document, and then say hyperlink. I can, if someone clicks on that area, I can jump to a different page, or a place on the web, or open a different program, or whatever. So these are your options of what you can do with hyperlink. So I think.
Hey Brian.
Yeah.
For these features, like the lines and the shapes, like those definitely translate over to Adobe Reader.
Uh-huh.
Are there some features that are in Bluebeam that don't translate well over to other PDF programs?
Other than Reader?
You're right. Yeah, I'm just like saying like eCopy, because I know like the whole department doesn't have Bluebeam.
Okay.
They do.
I am not familiar with eCopy as much. Like I know the stuff that you can do here, you can see in Reader, but I guess we'll have to try it out to see how they translate over to eCopy.
Okay.
So this is really useful. The hyperlink, I guess if you wanted to kind of make links of your different plan sheets, let's say highlight sheet 2, I'm going to link this to actually sheet 2. So you can click on it and it'll lead you to sheet 2. Or different parts of the same document. So like I'm going to create another hyperlink and hit this area, and then I'm going to go snapshot. Let's go to here. So if I click in that first space, I can get to that little area of this particular plan. So if I click that, it zooms in on that corner. So you can kind of, it's pretty powerful. I think you can say see detail whatever on a different sheet, and then you make a hyperlink for it, and then if you click on it, you can actually get to that detail on a different sheet, which kind of gets there quicker. Okay, so besides hyperlink, there's also stamp. So if you have, they have like a bunch of preset stamps. If you are doing like approved, if you are approving like an RFI, you can just put the stamp there and say approved or rejected or whatever. Bluebeam has a bunch of preset stamps. I think I have somebody's signature here. Yeah, so you can create a stamp off of your own signature as well. Where's the next one? And then on any of these tools, whatever, if you like, if you have a particular group of settings that you like, down here you can set them as the default. So every time you open that tool, it'll keep your default settings. What you can also do is in your tool chest, let's say you have two different types of highlighters. You can say I want to have one for a yellow highlighter and then a pink highlighter. So you can do that in here as well. For your most commonly used properties for your tools. Okay. Let's close this and close this. I'm going to show a little bit more what you can do with the markups log. Let me go to a different one. Here we go. So here's the plan that I reviewed that Joel prepared. So these are all made by me. This is a list of all the markups that I made in the entire document. And then you can kind of, as you address each comment, you as in if you're the one that has to make the revisions to the plan, you can mark it as checked. So let's say, okay, I finished that one, and then I still have the other ones to get to. So let's say these are not done. I can kind of sort all my markups by check mark, and then I'll look at the ones that are not done, and then those are the ones I have to go to next. So you can do it by that. You can sort it by page. So I have to do all the ones on page 10, or I'm going to address all the ones by particular author. You can sort it that way. You can also change the way the status, so like we have something called status, so you can change the status to like accepted, rejected, cancel, completed. And then here, I think it's this one. I can change the setting for every completed markup to be, say, a certain color. So here I changed all the markups that are set as completed to green. Before they were red. So let's say if I don't have that status as completed, set it as none. I think they should be red. Nope. Completed, none set by. Let's go back to here. So under Andrew's comments, one of Andrew's markups, if I set it as complete, and if I had the setting for completed set to green, I think you'll see that. Let's do a different one. Then his comment actually turns green. So you can kind of see on the plan sheet that this comment was addressed.
So these are automatically tracked by Bluebeam?
Yeah.
Whatever comments you have, it goes automatically.
Yeah, it's tracked in this bottom pane.
Okay.
Yeah. What you can also do is, if you don't want to see them on your plan sheet temporarily, you can just say hide markups. You can search particular markup. Maybe it's just a lot of markups and you want to look at one particular one. I think you can search for it here. You can also reply to the person that made your comment. I think Joel did here. So like, I made a call out here and then he replied to it. So you can kind of go back and forth and kind of do your correspondence this way as well.
Can you search by status?
Yeah, you can sort it by status. So like,
Okay.
yeah. So let's say if it was not completed, I think you can search by it that way too, or one of these other statuses. Yeah. So yeah, just a lot of powerful feature here in the markups pane. You can also export your the list of markups in like a different PDF if you want to have them printed out, or so they'll list. I don't know if I actually opened it or brought it in. Yeah, I don't think so. But it'll generate a PDF report of every single markup, and then you can kind of see all your markups in a different document. So I don't know if, like what Rafi had mentioned, if someone that is viewing a marked up PDF has the capability of doing this. So that way, I think this will be useful for them. So if you created a PDF summary of the markups, you could possibly view this in a different program without Bluebeam.
Two questions. One is there an easy way to track your responses to those comments? Like you can say that's completed, but can you say like what you, like whether you incorporated it or?
Yeah, so like, you mean like, so I this is a comment I made on the plan, and then Joel replied with this. But you want all replies or something?
Oh, so you put your reply in the comments?
Oh, so right, so how you do it is, let's say if I'm Joel and I'm replying to my comment, I just right-click it and hit reply,
Oh, okay.
or just hit this, and then I can just type something in.
So when Joel replies, does his comment appear up on the sheet too?
I don't
or-
think they appear on the sheet. It's just appears as a comment in this window. It doesn't appear on the sheet because it's not a markup.
Okay.
Okay, is there any status you can put in it, like a custom status or something? Or
Yeah.
just set-
So if you want it, like for example, I don't know what kind of status you would want, but
Yeah.
yeah, but you can. I think you can add more.
So you can change, okay.
I think you can add.
You can put more.
Yeah. So I guess these are all the statuses you can make for review. I think you can be able to add or modify these, the names of these. Yeah.
I'm not sure if we tested this, but then, you know, if you save a file and not in using Bluebeam, using different PDF,
Uh-huh.
would it lose these logs?
Give me an example.
Like say if you had this file and then someone opened up in, say, eCopy or something, and then resave that PDF somehow,
Uh-huh.
would it lose the log ability, or would it still keep?
That's a good question. I haven't tried it.
Okay.
I'll test it out.
Test it out.
Yeah, test it out and let you know. Or let everyone know. Okay, that's a good question too.
Brian?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
For the web thing you showed us earlier, can like that be marked up and then saved?
I don't,
Now, or do you have to like?
we can try it. I don't,
Take like a screenshot first. And then,
I think this is just a convenience for you to just go online.
Sorry. The tools are.
Yeah, I don't think you can, let's see. Yeah, you can't mark up the internet.
Oh, it's grayed out.
Yeah, these are all grayed out. You can't do marks.
Can you
mark.
screenshot it?
Can I screenshot?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't take a snapshot. So I think it's
On your
not.
keyboard.
Yeah, you just do a print screen and then, yeah, so like if I do a print screen, and then let's say I go into a document, I think you can be able to, there we go. I have a screenshot of the internet. Intranet. So yeah, that'll still work. Yeah, I guess I haven't gone through this feature snapshot. You can take a snapshot of something. So if I wanted that, and then that goes into my clipboard, and then I can paste it somewhere else. So there it is. That can be useful as well. Let's go to flattening markups. Do I have that on there? Oh no, editing content. So I showed erasing snapshot. Oh, okay. I just showed snapshot. Flattening. If you have a bunch of markups and you want to not have the log here and just flatten everything, you can go to Document, Flatten, and then flatten it from here, and then all those would be gone. So I just flattened all my markups, so these are all gone, except for this note, I guess. So depending on what you want to do, we know that when we sign plans, we don't want that signature to be manipulated, so we'll flatten the document after we sign the plans. So that's how you do it.
Can you flatten selectively?
Can you flatten selectively? I think so. Let's undo that. Control Z. So, let's see. These four. Let's document flatten. There we go. Selected markups. So only those would be flattened, and everything else would remain as markups on the document.
So, and how do you make sure it's secure that when you flatten it, like you were saying, like a signature, and you don't want someone else to unflatten it?
You make sure this one is not checked. So if it says allow markup recovery, unflatten, that means if you have this checked, someone can unflatten and get the signature or look at the markups again. Yeah, so just make sure this one is unchecked.
Well, we can always do a screenshot of the signature and copy somewhere.
I guess. No one tell anyone else that. Even though it's recorded. Yeah. What can you do? I don't know. Okay. Okay, let's go into searching. If I go into, let's go to special provisions.
Oh. Editing.
Did I skip something?
Editing.
Oh, editing text. So let's say, I think that's just, if I have a text box. I forgot how to do it. Yeah. I think you can just select it, double click it, or just go into here. Oh no, that's select text. Yeah, I guess I don't have much other than just, you can go in there and then double click and change your text.
Is there a way that if you're adding text and it's expanding the box
Uh-huh.
for the text to be inserted,
Uh-huh.
but later you delete, that there's a way to automatically get the text box to compress?
To be resized,
Yeah,
you mean?
resized automatically.
Let's try this out. Why is it not letting me select? Oh, okay, so if I want, like, I'm just gonna put a bunch of garbage here, like that,
Yeah.
and then you wanna,
Well, say, for example, you do, it created, expanded the box to accommodate. Like right now, it's just wrapping, but there's, sometimes I think if it's a call-out, yeah, it expands the box, but if you delete, then it keeps the size of the box
you want
the
the
same. So I just
oh.
want to have it to be automatically resized.
So
as
let's
you-
say this is
Yeah.
what you want, but then you gotta remove a bunch of this text.
That's right.
I don't think it'll, yeah, it'll still just maintain that. So I guess you just gotta resize it.
Mm.
I can look into that. Okay, going back to searching. So here, searching is in here. You can search for a text. So let's say, and it doesn't have to be in the whole document. You can kind of specify only on this page. So I'm going to search for, say, general. So it'll show up in these results. What needs to happen is you need to have OCR. People don't know what OCR is. It's something that in the PDF, it allows text to be searchable. So OCR stands for optical character recognition. So here, if it's a document created with like Microsoft Word or something, and it's saved directly to PDF, you can search for text. If it's something that's scanned, you might have to do something like, here's an OCR feature that you can apply to your document, so you make all the text searchable, which can be really useful. I have an example, not an OCR. So this is a scanned document that you can kind of tell it's scanned because when you zoom in, it's not, it gets all pixelated. So if I applied OCR, oh, can't do OCR on this machine, but you can make all the text searchable so that off of a scanned document, and then you can do some searches on it. Okay, so let's go into visual searches. I'm going to zoom in on one of these. So here's a different type of way to search, visual, and then when you click Get Rectangle, you can kind of select the area that you want to be searched throughout the document. So I kind of want this call out and see where it is in the entire document. Let's see if it shows up. Here you can adjust the sensitivity. You can limit it by just the stuff that you selected. So I think if you have like a stray call out line, I don't think it'll pick that up because you're just picking the stuff that you selected. Kind of like in MicroStation. So I guess sensitivity was low, so that's why I got a bunch of other ones that weren't the one that I was looking for. Cancel. Let's change it to higher sensitivity and let's see what happens. So I guess depending on how much you're searching, it might take a while. This is kind of going.
Maybe he's picking up on a circle too.
Yeah, this is something that I haven't really played around with,
Oh,
but
you just need to do
it's
highlight
there.
the number or something.
Yeah, maybe, but you might get instances where you just pick up the number 60, like maybe it's in a curved data or something like that. So yeah, I guess it just depends on the sensitivity and then what kind of how it appears in the document. I guess I know this one is in this plan set. I guess it didn't work as well. So I guess you got to play around with it. Applying markups to search results. I forgot how to do that. Let's skip that for now. So here's a selection. I think this is the same as what I showed before on adding hyperlinks. So you can it's basically the search result ended up, or I guess the rectangle was the selected area, and then you can make it a hyperlink so that if you click on it, you can go somewhere else. So I covered that earlier. Let's go into measuring tools. Okay. So under measure, if you open this up, you have a scale on the page. So kind of, John, what your question was earlier, how do you set the scale, or how do you?
Yeah.
So you can calibrate it here. Calibrate it, so basically you select 2 points to calibrate the tool. So let's say I'm going to select this point and this point, and they'll ask you what measurement that is. So we can see that's 40 feet.
Will it actually snap to those lines?
Yeah.
Or do you have to?
It'll snap because
snap
I think it's right here. Snap to content. I don't know. For some reason it just snapped, but I guess these are some snap options.
Oh.
And then once you have that scale in, it's stored in the page, and you can kind of see right here. Then when you use the tool to measure, like say a length, like say we know this is 2 feet, so let's just see if that'll work out. There, 2 feet, and I guess you can adjust the precision, but it basically got the measurement for us. So you can search, measure by length, polylength, which just means over like a bunch of different lines. They'll give you the lengths of each of those. And then perimeter is just the total. So here, I guess the difference between polylength and perimeter is that polylength will give you the length of each segment as well as the total, and then perimeter will just give you the total. You can also measure areas. So I haven't really played around. I guess you can click a rectangle, but sometimes that's not as useful because you're going to have these weird areas. So what you can do is dynamic fill is a pretty neat tool. So it looks like everything in your document. I'm going to delete this one and that, and then tries to figure out the boundaries of your where you want to get the area. So I can use this paint bucket thing and then kind of click and drag, and then it'll try to hit an area. You can also set boundaries of your area. So this is the boundary tool. So if I definitely want it to stop, like say right here to right here, I'll set that.
Let's say you wanted to measure a spandrel weight over there in a return. How would you go about that?
I think these are crosswalks, but you
Like
can
a spandrel of that return, right? Something like that.
You'd have to set two boundaries.
you can set a boundary here, and you can adjust your boundary and the size of your fill. So if I just wanted a smaller boundary, then I can set it like that. Let's close these settings, and then kind of do a fill like that. So you can kind of see that it won't go past the boundary. This one, there's already a line there, so I guess it wasn't going to go past it anyway. But yeah, you can kind of see it stops at these customized boundaries that I've created. And then you create, say, like an area measurement, or a poly length, or a perimeter measurement. So you kind of click the ones that you want. I want area, I want perimeter, and then you click apply. So it'll give you those values. So like this particular shape has an area of that and a perimeter of that.
So I think what John was like saying is that if you have like a cross gutter and would you have to set a boundary along the EG projection line going both ways? And then what would you have, what would you do along the edge gutter all around the curb return so that you can measure the actual area?
Yeah, I mean, would you
Of the spandrel.
set up lines and
Here's-
arcs or
here's-
something?
Here's a cross cutter right here.
Like lines and arcs like we do in,
You can try it.
well, you can do the whole cross gutter if you want.
So I can set the fill to be kind of small. Let's do low sensitivity. Oh, no, I guess I want high sensitivity, right? And low speed. Yeah, I guess I haven't really played around with this
You'd
too
probably
much.
have to set two boundaries, right?
Yeah,
And
I
then-
guess boundary you can only set as straight lines too, so that
Oh,
would be
you
kind of
can,
weird.
okay.
Well, it's kind of like a polyline, so you can set a boundary like this.
Yeah, that's when you just.
You can do it that way.
And can you,
So you can kind of set the boundary like that. I'm just kind of doing it roughly. Okay, let's just do that. And then start your fill. So there you go. And then say I'm going to create a area measurement and a perimeter measurement. And then do it that way. Oops. It's this one. Oh no, it created one for each. So this is the perimeter measurement, and then this is the area measurement. Yeah,
Do the numbers update when you drag down?
I think so. So if I change this vertex to like right there, it'll update. Okay. That's dynamic fill. You can do counts. So let's say if I have an item that I just want to do a bunch of counts for. Let's say, how many of these do I have? I can just click, and it'll do a check mark. Whatever, check mark, and then this will show up in your markups. So, I guess I haven't. When you're done with your counts, hit Enter or Escape, and it'll show up. So I hit count 3 times, so it'll show up with the comment saying 3. And I guess all these other measurement markups, you'll have them here in your markups pane. So you can kind of go through them.
do you know if
this way.
there's any way to associate the areas with your items? By any chance? Because that would be useful for estimating. There's some way to.
Maybe you can create a status, or I guess a label. I haven't really played around with this too much, but
Something that, I mean, check
Yeah.
into later.
yeah, I could look into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we covered count, diameter, angle, radius. So I think diameter is this, like if you say, I need a circle or something. Okay, I'm just gonna go diameter. So you can kind of measure it this way. Radius. Let's do 3-point radius and measure this curve return. 1, oops, 2, 3. So you can kind of figure out roughly what that radius is. And then angle, you can measure angles. So let's say between here, here, and here. There you go. Cutout. It's cutout. So I think you can kind of take away part of a previous measurement. Not sure. Yeah. So if you want it, say, like a long length of sidewalk minus tree wells, you can use cutout to cut out tree wells, and you can still get the area that you want, a more accurate area. Yeah. So I think I covered most of what I had in the course outline. Does anyone else have any more questions?
Were you expecting the quantity takeoff to occur by Bluebeam versus by MicroStation?
I think it depends on your situation. Most recently, I had a project where I was just doing a ballpark estimate, and all I had was a set of plans from like the city that I couldn't get access to their or survey file or the original MicroStation file, so I just did my calculations off of the Bluebeam file, and it was good enough because it was just a rough estimate. But if you're doing like a full detailed estimate, I think you should just use MicroStation if you have it. Okay. Any other questions? Cool. Okay. Thanks for attending. If you haven't signed in, please sign in. And then I guess we'll have this on YouTube later. So if you want to go back to anything you missed, you can do that as well. Thank you.
A lot in there.